History isn't just dates and famous names. It's a shadowy, whispering vault of unbelievable secrets and forgotten truths. You think you know the past? Think again. The official story is a lie designed to keep you from asking the right questions. Today, we're opening that vault. We're going to uncover 20 shocking secrets the world powers tried to bury forever. Secrets like the lost city in the Amazon that vanished without a trace. A bizarre psychological experiment run by the U.S. government that blurred the lines between fantasy and reality, and the terrifying real-life death ray, weapon hidden in a remote Russian laboratory. These aren't theories or myths. They are documented events that slipped through the cracks. If you're ready to see the real past, get comfortable. Because the final secret on this list isn't just forgotten, it's the most dangerous one ever uncovered. Number 20. The secret of the Roman Dodecahedron. Imagine digging up an artifact and having absolutely no idea what it was used for. That is the Roman Dodecahedron, a mysterious, hollow object made of bronze or stone, with 12 flat pentagonal faces. It's been found all over the former Roman Empire, yet no written records, not a single mention, exist to explain its purpose. These things are roughly the size of a fist and feature little knobs on the corners, along with circular holes in each face. Some have theorized they were candle holders, or maybe dice for a strange Roman game. Others believe they were used for military purposes, maybe sighting devices for artillery or measuring the trajectory of projectiles. The truth is much stranger. Some experts believe they were religious tools used for fortune-telling, or perhaps tools for calibration in agriculture. The fact that the mighty, recording-obsessed Roman Empire left no explanation for a widespread object is a historical blunder. Or a secret deliberately kept from us. A little piece of hidden knowledge the Romans never wanted outsiders to possess. The mystery remains, preserved in metal, challenging every history book we have today. Number 19. Project Acoustic Kitty. During the height of the Cold War, paranoia drove U.S. intelligence agencies to unbelievable lengths. Their enemy was everywhere, even, they thought, in the alleys and the gardens. Enter Project Acoustic Kitty, an actual CIA operation in the 1960s where the goal was to turn a common house cat into a living, breathing surveillance machine. Yes, you heard that right, a spy cat. Surgeons implanted a microphone in the cat's ear canal, a tiny radio transmitter in its skull, and a thin wire running down its spine to act as an antenna. The poor animal was essentially a remote-controlled bugging device. The cat was meant to secretly record conversations between Soviet officials in high-security areas. However, the first field test was a disaster. The cat was released near a park to eavesdrop on two men, but instead of walking towards them, it wandered into the street and was immediately hit and killed by a taxi. The operation was quickly shut down and branded a complete failure, costing millions of taxpayer dollars. The details were classified for decades. Another oddity of intelligence history that reveals the absurd desperation of the Cold War era. The sheer audacity of the idea is almost unbelievable, yet it was entirely real. Number 18. The Great Molasses Flood. It sounds like a joke, a bizarre cartoon premise, but in 1919, downtown Boston, Massachusetts, was hit by a 25-foot-high wave of molasses. This wasn't a slow spill. It was a genuine, devastating flood. A massive storage tank, holding over 2 million gallons of molasses, burst near the harbor. The resulting wave slammed into the city at an estimated speed of 35 miles per hour. The sticky, brown wave demolished buildings, ripped elevated train tracks from their supports, and engulfed everything in its path. Tragically, 21 people were killed, and over 150 were injured. The density of the molasses made it act like liquid concrete, drowning people and trapping them under debris. The cleanup took weeks, and the scent of molasses lingered in the area for decades. Authorities immediately tried to cover up the reason for the tank's failure, blaming anarchists or sabotage. But the truth was simple and scandalous. The tank had been poorly constructed and never properly tested. The company, U.S. Industrial Alcohol, fought lawsuits for years. This is a terrifying example of corporate greed leading to a truly bizarre disaster. A deadly, sticky wave that became a strange secret buried beneath the history of a major American city. Number 17, the dancing plague of 1518. Imagine being unable to stop dancing until you simply collapse from exhaustion or worse, die. This nightmare was reality in the summer of 1518 in Strasbourg, France. It began with one woman, Frau Trophia, who walked into the street and started dancing alone. She didn't stop. Within a week, dozens of others joined her, and within a month, hundreds of people were seized by this unstoppable urge. Local authorities, believing it was a fever or a supernatural event, encouraged them to keep dancing, thinking they would simply dance it out. This only made things worse. People were dropping dead from heart attacks, strokes, and sheer exhaustion. Up to 400 people participated, and many died. What caused this bizarre mass hysteria? Modern historians believe it was a case of psychogenic illness, a stress-induced psychosis triggered by famine, disease, and extreme poverty in the region. The human mind simply snapped, and the overwhelming anxiety manifested as uncontrollable movement. The horror of a community dancing itself to death is a secret too strange for many history books to feature prominently, a testament to how far human desperation can push the limits of reality. Number 16, the Library of Alexandria's secret basement. We all know the Great Library of Alexandria was lost, a tragic fire that wiped out centuries of human knowledge. But what if the story of the fire was a convenient cover? Some historians believe the most valuable and possibly dangerous texts were never housed in the main reading rooms at all, but in a heavily guarded, underground vault. This vault wasn't burned. It was simply sealed and its location forgotten or erased from the records. Imagine a collection of documents that detailed advanced ancient technologies or perhaps philosophical treatises that challenged the very fabric of early religious and political power. The sheer power of that knowledge meant it couldn't be destroyed, but it certainly couldn't be made public either. Legend suggests that when a library faced its final, destructive siege, a small group of scholars ensured the basement was disguised, its entrance concealed by rubble and false floors. The idea is that the lost knowledge isn't actually lost. It's just patiently waiting for the right person to look beneath the ashes. It's a comforting thought, a hidden library of forbidden wisdom, an irresistible historical mystery that begs for exploration. Number 15, the hidden tunnels of Prague. Prague, a city famous for its beautiful castles and bridges, sits on a complex, ancient network of tunnels, chambers, and forgotten waterways that stretch for miles beneath the surface. These weren't built for fun. They were built for survival and secrecy. Originally constructed as medieval sewage systems, they evolved into vast, concealed labyrinths used by alchemists, smugglers, and even kings. During World War II and the Cold War, the network took on a darker purpose. High-ranking Nazi officials used sections as bunkers and hidden transport routes, while Soviet-era spies and intelligence services built secret communication lines and hidden monitoring posts within the oldest brickwork. Many of these Cold War additions remain sealed off, forgotten by modern city planners, still holding secrets and potentially old surveillance equipment that tells a chilling story of espionage. The sheer scale and complexity of this underground world are a constant challenge to the city above it, a hidden realm of European history that few tourists ever get to glimpse, and one the local authorities prefer to keep tightly controlled. It's a secret history living right beneath your feet. Number 14, the Australian Emu War. In 1932, the Australian military declared war on birds, specifically the emu. Farmers in Western Australia were struggling with a massive emu population that was destroying their crops in the wake of the Great Depression. The government decided to deploy machine guns and soldiers to combat the feathered menace. This was not a small skirmish. It was officially called the Great Emu War. The military, armed with Lewis machine guns, was confident this would be a quick, decisive victory. They were wrong. The emus, which can run up to 30 miles per hour, proved to be far more elusive, fast, and surprisingly intelligent than the soldiers anticipated. They would scatter into small groups, dodging bullets and outmaneuvering the troops. After several failed missions and thousands of rounds of ammunition expended, the soldiers were forced to retreat in embarrassment. The emus, meanwhile, continued to thrive and destroy crops. The campaign was a massive public relations failure and was widely mocked internationally. It remains one of the most bizarre military engagements in history, a secret the Australian Defence Force would much rather forget, the time they were decisively defeated by a flock of large, flightless birds. Number 13, the real man in the Iron Mask. Everyone knows the legend. A prisoner whose identity was concealed by an iron mask, locked away for decades by the King of France. But the true identity of the man remains one of history's great secrets. The official records are confusing and contradictory, leading to hundreds of theories. Was he the twin brother of King Louis XIV, whose existence threatened the throne? Was he a disgraced general or a finance minister who knew too much about the court's corruption? The most persistent theory, which the monarchy desperately tried to suppress, suggested he was Eustache Dogger, a servant who was involved in the scandalous poisoning affairs at the time. What is certain is that whoever he was treated with immense, almost ridiculous respect by his captors, yet never allowed to show his face. The mask itself was likely velvet, not iron, but the effect was the same, a life sentence of complete anonymity. The continued silence over centuries implies that the man's identity was not just a political threat, but a personal, deeply damaging secret to the crown itself. They didn't just lock him away, they erased his existence, leaving behind only a terrifying, silent legend. The secrets are getting darker, the lies more sophisticated. Hold on tight, because what's coming next isn't just history. It's a look at the shadow governments and forgotten powers that still shape your world. Number 12, the secret history of the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is famous for its disappearances, planes vanishing, ships sinking without a trace, all blamed on magnetic anomalies or mysterious forces. But there is a secret history to this area that goes deeper than the sensational headlines. The original disappearances were largely attributed to a vast, poorly mapped region that saw heavy, unpredictable naval traffic during the World Wars. The U.S. Navy, which patrolled the area heavily, often encountered highly classified underwater testing areas and acoustic monitoring stations. Some of the disappearances weren't accidents. They were classified military events where ships or experimental aircraft went down during secret exercises, and the military preferred the public to believe it was a supernatural mystery rather than admitting to a costly failure or revealing the extent of their operations. Furthermore, the area is one of the world's most seismically active, with massive underwater sinkholes and methane gas deposits that can suddenly reduce the buoyancy of the water, sinking a ship almost instantly. The Bermuda Triangle remains a powerful myth, but the secrets are less about aliens and more about cover-ups. A dense blend of hidden military activity, geological volatility, and plain old human error, all disguised under a veil of intrigue. Number 11, the real purpose of the Voynich manuscript. The Voynich manuscript is perhaps the most mysterious book in the world. It's a 240-page, beautifully illustrated book written in an unknown script by an unknown author, in a language that no one, not the best codebreakers or linguists, has ever been able to read. The illustrations are just as baffling. They show bizarre planets that don't exist, astrological charts that don't match known constellations, and naked women bathing in strange, connected pools. It was found by a book collector in 1912 and has been dated back to the early 15th century. Was it an encyclopedia for a forgotten civilization? A complicated medical textbook? The best theory, which is often dismissed, is that it's not a code at all. but a genuine, completely isolated language created by a small, secretive cult or group of scholars who wanted to safeguard truly radical knowledge. They didn't want the book to be burned, but they also didn't want the common man to read it. The manuscript is a physical representation of an intellectual secret, a barrier erected against the casual observer. It sits in a library today, silent and beautiful, reminding us that some secrets are designed never to be broken. Number 10. The Lost City of Z. Deep in the heart of the Amazon rainforest lies the rumored location of a lost civilization known only as Z. This was the obsession of Colonel Percy Fawcett, a famed British explorer who went searching for it in 1925 and promptly vanished. Fawcett believed that based on old maps and his own observations, a vast, complex urban center existed deep within the jungle. A contradiction to the popular belief that the Amazon could only support small, nomadic tribes. For decades, his quest was dismissed as fantasy, a delusion driven by jungle fever. But modern technology has revealed a stunning truth. Fawcett was right. Archaeologists, using advanced LiDAR scanning technology from the air, have begun to uncover evidence of sophisticated settlements in the Amazon basin. Not just small villages, but complex, interconnected networks of towns, roads, and raised fields that once supported massive populations. These cities were abandoned due to disease and climate change centuries ago, swallowed by the jungle. The secret isn't a myth. It's the forgotten fact that a highly advanced civilization once thrived in a place we thought was empty. Fawcett's disappearance wasn't a blunder. It was the ultimate, necessary sacrifice to prove a truth history refused to acknowledge. Number 9. The CIA's real-life MKUltra mind control experiments. Project MKUltra is perhaps the darkest, most disturbing secret ever exposed by the U.S. government. But what if the official story was a minimized version of the truth? The CIA admitted to running mind control experiments in the 1950s and 60s, giving LSD and other drugs to unwitting citizens and attempting to create Manchurian candidates through psychological manipulation. They claimed to have destroyed most of the records when the project was officially shut down. However, whistleblowers and researchers suggest that MKUltra was only the tip of the iceberg, a massive operation that continues today under different names. They assert the goal was not just to create spies, but to master the art of subtle mass influence, using media, social pressure, and coded psychological triggers to shape public opinion and political outcomes. The real secret is not that MKUltra happened. It's at the core research. The successful methods for mental manipulation were never destroyed, merely moved deeper underground in a classified defense and psychological research facilities. The methods of controlling the human mind are still being perfected, and the subjects are now the entire population. Number 8. The secret of the lost Soviet nuclear train. During the collapse of the Soviet Union, there were widespread rumors that nuclear-tipped missile train simply vanished from the sprawling railway network. This train, designed to patrol the vast country and launch nuclear strikes from anywhere, was a core part of the USSR's defense. The official story is that all nuclear weapons were accounted for and decommissioned. But the rail network was massive, the tracking systems were failing, and the bureaucracy was in chaos. A dark secret persists. A handful of these missile trains may have been accidentally abandoned on obscure sidings in remote Siberia, or intentionally hidden by rogue military factions unwilling to relinquish control of the ultimate weapon. These trains, rusting in silence, could still contain live, decommissioned, or even operational nuclear devices. The prospect of a forgotten, unguarded nuclear arsenal is a terrifying secret that defense agencies worldwide track obsessively. A time bomb buried in the frozen wasteland, a relic of a dead empire that could still destroy the modern world. Number 7. The Tunguska event, not a meteorite. In 1908, a massive explosion flattened over 800 square miles of forest in Siberia, near the Tunguska River. Scientists widely accept it was an airburst from a large meteorite or comet fragment. But the persistent secret lies in what was not found. No impact crater and no definitive meteorite fragments. This absence has fueled a series of far stranger theories that are quietly debated in classified defense circles. One theory suggests the event was the failed test of a terrifying, advanced weapon, maybe a primitive energy weapon or a device tied to the electrical grid. Another, more fringe idea posits it was the explosion of an alien vessel, something so advanced it vaporized upon impact, leaving only the shockwave behind. The inability of the Russian government, over a century, to provide a single, irrefutable piece of physical evidence beyond the devastation itself, suggests a massive effort to conceal a truth that is either too embarrassing or too dangerous to share. The lack of a crater is the secret, proving that something exploded in the air with unbelievable force, but wasn't necessarily a space rock. Number 6. The Pope's secret wartime gold. During World War II, the Vatican maintained a highly controversial stance of neutrality, a position that allowed it to play a covert role in saving lives and, allegedly, in moving massive amounts of wealth. The secret here concerns the Ustase gold, a vast quantity of treasure and gold looted by the fascist regime in Croatia. Documents and eyewitness accounts suggest that this gold, taken from victims of the genocide, was funneled through the Vatican Bank toward the end of the war to allow high-ranking fascist officials to escape to South America, known as the Ratlins. The official church records deny any involvement or knowledge of the gold's true origins. However, U.S. intelligence reports detail the transfer of millions of dollars worth of gold bullion. The secret is the alleged deal. The gold bought silence and safe passage for war criminals. This is a massive, dark stain on the history of one of the world's most powerful institutions, a treasure that remains hidden, often suspected to be mixed in with the vast, unregulated assets of the Vatican Bank, representing a secret conspiracy of silence that continues to this day. Number 5. The hidden U.S. government continuity plan. The public knows about the basic U.S. government continuity of operations plan, COOP, which outlines how critical operations would survive a catastrophic attack. But the deep, unsettling secret is the extent and nature of the shadow government that exists today. It's not just a bunker. It's a parallel, fully operational government composed of unelected officials and military leaders, ready to step in at a moment's notice. This secret government has its own command structures, its own hidden facilities, far beyond sites like Raven Rock, and even its own classified communication networks that run parallel to the public internet. The secret is that these officials, sometimes referred to as the deep state, are continuously running exercises and simulations, ready to take control not just during a nuclear war, but during a massive cyber attack, an environmental collapse, or a global pandemic. The idea that a complete, highly funded shadow government is constantly watching and waiting to replace the elected one is a deeply unsettling truth that the public is never meant to fully grasp. Number 4. The Soviet bioweapons island, Vozrozhdeniya. Vozrozhdeniya Island, or Rebirth Island, in the middle of the Aral Sea, was the site of the Soviet Union's top-secret biological weapons testing facility. Here, Soviet scientists weaponized deadly diseases like anthrax, smallpox, and plague, testing them on monkeys and other animals in open-air experiments. The secret is not just that this happened, but that when the facility was shut down in 1992, the Soviets didn't properly clean it up. They simply buried steel drums full of deadly biological slurry in trenches and covered them with bleach and concrete. Over the decades, the Aral Sea began to shrink dramatically, connecting the island to the mainland and exposing the burial sites. Scientists today fear that the weaponized anthrax spores, which can survive for decades, could be exposed and carried by rodents or migrating birds, leading to a global catastrophe. The secret of this island is a massive, ongoing biological hazard, a dark, forgotten legacy of the Cold War that literally threatens to walk off the map and cause a modern-day plague. Number 3, the real identity of D.B. Cooper. In 1971, a man known only as D.B. Cooper hijacked a Boeing 727, demanded a $200,000 ransom, and then parachuted out of the plane over the Pacific Northwest, vanishing completely. It remains the only unsolved air piracy case in U.S. history. The FBI officially closed the case, stating that Cooper likely died in the jump. But the persistent secret is that the FBI believes they know the true identity. And the reason they closed the case was to avoid a massive embarrassment. The evidence, including a small stash of the ransom money found years later, points to a man with deep military, airborne, and explosives training. Some theorize that Cooper was a former Special Forces operative or a military engineer who knew the aircraft and the remote wilderness too well. The government may have made a calculated decision to stop searching publicly, knowing that bringing the man to justice would reveal systemic security failures and the true capabilities of a highly trained, rogue operative. The man may be dead, but the secret of who he really was, that's still locked away in a classified FBI file. Number 2, the CIA's accidental death ray and the Moscow signal. During the height of the Cold War, the U.S. Embassy in Moscow experienced strange health symptoms among its staff: fatigue, unusual blood changes, and eventually cancer. The secret was a deliberate, sustained microwave radiation beam aimed directly at the embassy from a nearby Soviet building. This became known as the Moscow signal. The Soviets were using a low-level, continuous beam, likely for surveillance. But some U.S. intelligence officials believe the Soviets were secretly testing a primitive form of the ultimate secret, a directed energy weapon, a real-life death ray. The biggest secret is that the U.S. government, in a panic, experimented with its own counterbeam, a massive microwave field pointed back at the Soviets. This highly experimental counterweapon may have accidentally contributed to the health crises of the U.S. staff, an unintended tragedy caused by a secret arms race fought with invisible energy. The full report on the health effects and the exact nature of the U.S. counter-effort remains heavily classified, a secret that exposes a terrifying technological brinkmanship few ever knew about. Number 1, the final secret. The Library of Celsus's Lost Vault. You know the Library of Celsus in Ephesus, Turkey? A stunning facade of marble and columns, one of the greatest remnants of the Roman Empire. But the library you see today is just the public face. The terrifying final secret is hidden deep beneath the structure, connected by a narrow tunnel. Historians and archaeologists have long theorized about a massive, unexcavated vault beneath the central niche. This was not a book storage area. It was allegedly a repository for documents that were deemed too heretical, too politically devastating, or too technologically advanced for the Roman public, or even the emperor, to safely possess. Think about the Library of Alexandria, but instead of burning the secrets, they were deliberately sealed in a massive stone vault, designed to be rediscovered only by a future civilization deemed worthy. This vault is said to contain the forbidden writings of early Gnostics, blueprints for advanced mechanical wonders, or even philosophical concepts that challenge the nature of reality itself. The vault has never been publicly explored, meaning the ultimate secret of the ancient world is still down there, waiting. It's a literal historical time bomb of forbidden knowledge, the most dangerous secret history tried to bury forever. From clandestine tunnels beneath Prague to terrifying bioweapons buried on a forgotten island, we've only scratched the surface of history's great cover-ups. These secrets prove that the past is far stranger and more active than we are often led to believe. If you are gripped by these revelations, make sure to hit that subscribe button now and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss our next deep dive.